Okay, so we're going to look at doing a rest cycle. Now the characters always come in a T pose, which looks very unnatural. So I've just been trying to change the pose. One of the good things about doing these kind of cycles is it forces you to look at the way that characters look and stand and are posed, and try and get away from the kind of, the up and down, that whole up and down thing where you have a character. So I'm just going to try and get the fingers. One of the things that will immediately make a rest pose look more authentic is if you have a hand in a kind of, if you look at your hand, normally the fingers curl more towards the pinky, like this. And maybe the thumb will be kind of curled in this way. And then you'll have the same thing with this one here. Gonna curl it in. A bit like this. Oh. Let's make this a bit smaller. Like that, and then this one. And then there, and then this. So this, and then this. Oops. And this one. So you've got this kind of thing going on. Let me see, this arm is going to be in a little bit more. And then this back down here of it. So you've got this. I'm trying to kind of make everything slightly off the horizontal, which makes everything look a bit unusual and a bit. So yeah, this doesn't look too bad. So this is his kind of pose. If you look at yourself in the mirror, you seldom stand completely straight up and down. Okay, then I guess the next thing is we're going to have some slight movement in him. So I'm going to give myself 50 frames. So we're going to try and, in terms of 50 frames is, I've got this in 24 frames a second, so 50 frames is, I shall do it in 48, is essentially the amount of time it takes this guy to breathe in and out. So it's approximately 2 seconds. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is when you stand on your feet for any length of time, if you shut your eyes, stand on your feet, you'll be aware that you are trying to find your balance. So I'm making a key here by pressing S, another key in 25. Actually, no, that's the wrong one. Cut 24. And 148. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this moving slightly out this way and slightly this way. So again, just very slight motion. So we've got this. I may have to have it going around in a circle. So I'm going to have almost a circular motion. So I'm going to start here like this, then I'll go roughly in between here to here like this, and then from here like this, and then here I'll go this back a bit, and so and then so hang on, that goes back. So forward, hang on, that, round, copy this one here. Sorry. It's annoying. I'll copy this frame. Copy, and I'll put it here. Paste. So far, this is going to be, this is really not very normal, but the part of the problem is it needs to be very subtle. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to look at this and I'm going to make some changes. So we've got this. I'll bring both these down. I'm going to make this one here like, that can be like that. This can be like this. I'm going to get the subtle wave formation and make another key here. And that will be almost like that. That and that. Okay, this should, so you've got this kind of, yeah, you've got this kind of rocking. I'm going to drop this down. Make sure that these are both on spline. So if I was to look at this in terms of a curve, I've got a cycle, yeah? So it's just this. And then I can go in and I can just drop it down using the scale tool. Let's make it really subtle, okay? So then if I go back to this, and you can see, you can really see it in the late knees, so that means I have to take it down even further. So even further. All the way down. It's just that subtle movement. Again, too far. And then I have to go, of course, into the Z translation. So in the Z translation, because I've done it in the X as Z, it's almost far too much presently. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'll pull that back and I'm going to drop this down. And then I'm going to just drop this all the way down again. So there we go. Let's see what this, so you just want to get some subtle movement. Still too much. See, as I get a very subtle movement there. Anyway, so it doesn't look like much just now. And what I'm doing to scale the curves is I'm literally just selecting them, pressing Shift, and then middle mouse, and with this selected the scale tool, I can scale them up or down. So that's all I'm doing. So that we'll leave that just now. We can go back to that. The next thing you're going to need is some motion on the shoulders. So let's have a look. Where's the? So let's have a look at these controls. The shoulder controls. What we can do is one thing we could have, I notice I want a slight sense of the shoulders rising up and falling. What I could do is I could add a Y translate to this, so I could have, if I key in frame 1, I think I've got one in frame 24 and frame 48. And we go into my anim, my graph editor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have it coming up slightly. Let's translate Y. Let's see, try me up more. Okay, still more. Okay, let's see. Actually, maybe what I'll do, because this is taking a while, I'm going to take this off, and I'm just going to raise this him up a little bit. Okay, so there we go. So I've got this. I've got this kind of upward movement. Now, if you watch the way that so I've got this bit of upper movement on him now. Him moving up, if I look at it. Now if you watch the way you breathe, you'll notice that I just want to get a raise of the shoulders. Now the way this rig is rigged, I can't see that there aren't any shoulder controls here unless they've been made invisible or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to raise the torso up a little bit. So I've got it raised up, but the problem is it's not raised up in the right way. Now, what happens when you breathe in is you notice your breath speeds up as it's coming into your lungs, but when you're breathing it out, it kind of slows out. So that means I'm going to have to make it speed up into the breathe in, but slow out onto the breathe out, like this. So I'm going to see what this looks like. Maybe I can actually crack this up a little bit more. Just raising it up slightly. So, going back to my this, and I'm going to drop these a little bit. I might actually go and try and drop this. That was there we go, something like this. I'm going to drop it to the extent that I can see it. Go copy there, and I'll go here and go paste here. This is, I think, often when you're animating these things, it's a nice idea to go. This is obviously too much, and it looks like it's just happening on his legs. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take this whole thing and just knock it back a little bit, so we have some kind of motion on his legs. Okay, so we've got some motion on the shoulders, like breathing on the upper torso. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit. You can still see a bending in the knees. I'm not sure if that's... I wonder if I can get away with that. I'm going to try and make it even less. So I'm going to take this up and down motion, and I'm going to just bring it down even further by using the scale tool, middle mouse button, and dragging it just to see if I can just give a really subtle sense of breathing. And you've got this slight motion around as well. Okay, so after that, now one of the funny things is that, you know, when you're doing this, it is very easy to over animate the character. So you don't want really to be looking at them. This character will be in a scene with others, and you don't want attention to